Hey, everybody. Welcome to another brand new episode of Hey Man, It's Okay. Thanks for tuning in. We are a men's mental health podcast, you guys. So thanks for listening to us. I'm Sky Bridges, one of your hosts.
And I am Ryan Heapy, a licensed psychotherapist out of Newport Beach, California. Sky, what do we got going on today?
I'm really excited about this. We are talking to multi-talented author G. Scott Graham, and we're going to talk about all kinds of subjects, it sounds like. So I think we should just get into it and bring him onto the podcast. Thanks for coming on, Scott.
Hey, it is great to be here.
Thanks for coming on. And why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and let's get into a conversation.
So a little bit about myself is I am a whole bunch of things. I'm an EMT instructor. I'm a firefighter instructor. I write books. I've written my 28th book just last week. And I've been on a writing spree this spring, fixing up all my crap books that have been put out there and books that have been just sitting, waiting to be written. And I'm a coach. I'm a Tai Chi instructor. I'm an avid paddleboarder. In fact, one of my books that I just wrote is teaching your dogs how to paddleboard. And I'm serious. You know why? Because after my spouse died, I was looking for something to do that was like engaging that I could do. And I couldn't do the shit that we used to do together. I just couldn't do that stuff. It was just too painful.
How many reminders?
And I tried mountain biking with the dogs. That was like a fucking disaster because they're running loose, right? And that's just pictures, a single track trail, a mountain bike, dogs, and then getting on the road, dogs, mountain bike, cars. It was just a mess. I tried paddleboarding. I thought, oh, that'll work. I knew nothing about paddleboarding. And this is not uncommon for me to do something like this. I knew nothing about paddleboarding, nothing about training dogs for paddleboarding. There is nothing out there on the internet to teach you. Everybody's just puts their dog on a paddleboard. And I was like, that's just bogus. And so I systematically trained the dogs how to get on the paddleboard, get off the paddleboard. My black lab, I can be in the middle of a lake and I can throw a frisbee and the dog will leap off the paddleboard in the middle of the lake and then swim back with the frisbee and get back on. And
Impressive.
all this incremental stuff. And then I ended up writing a book about it. I run a farm animal rescue and I have sheeps and goats and stuff like that. And it's also a place where people can come camping. It's all put together by volunteers. And
Wow. You've got a lot of things going on. I love that. Before we jumped on the podcast today, we were talking about your new book. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah, so Brian died right at the start of the COVID pandemic. And I had been one of the core things that I've done a tremendous amount of work on in my life is meditation. In fact, if you took all the meditation courses that I've done and all the time that I've spent in meditation, it would hit almost 300 days of silent meditation. And so I was on a 10-day Vipassana course and I was serving that course and I was about halfway through it and I wasn't paying attention and I was slicing up romaine lettuce and I sliced the tip of my finger off. And they don't want you working in the kitchen with potential tips of your finger falling in the food.
Understandable.
And it's just not that. They are vegetarians at this retreat Buddhist center. A piece of finger in with the romaine salad would not be fun. So they suggested that I finish the course off as a participant because I'd been on so many. And so I called Brian and talked to him on Wednesday night after I cut my finger off and said, I'm just going to do this Vipassana thing and I'll be home on Sunday. And that was the last time I ever talked to him. And then Sunday morning as we're going, I knew something was off because they have these like little like tracker things you can put in your car.
Yeah.
That can tell you where somebody's at. T-Mobile, it was through T-Mobile and they had this little tracker thing. And I knew something was up because he wasn't home. And I couldn't see where the tracker was. And we've got a Ring video doorbell and I checked that and he wasn't home. And He had gone over to done caroling the night before, and on his way home, he slid off the road with the car, and the car got wedged. The driver's side door got wedged next to a tree, so he couldn't get out, and the car caught fire, and he burned alive in the car.
Oh my God.
And I told you I was a firefighter and EMT, and thank God I live in Vermont. Like, this would never happen in like California, or I don't think it would happen in any other state. And so I'm driving home. A friend came with me, and on the way home, we found out that he had died. And it was like hours later. And because Vermont's such a rural state, the fire marshal hadn't shown up by the time that we got to where the accident was. And it was like 10 o'clock in the morning when I got there. And so I drove up onto the scene and pulled my truck over, and I got off, and there were news camera, all this stuff all over the place, just taking videos of the accident. The flames were so hot that it burned all the tires away, burned out the windows were gone. The flames were so hot from the car, and everything was gone. And I came on the scene. They were like, no, I said, I want to see him. And they were like, no. And I said, you know what? I've seen bad things before. I'm a firefighter. I mean, I'm an EMT. And they were like, hey, but it's different when you see your family.
Yeah.
When you see, because I'm a pushy guy, that I was going to be okay. And by the way, they needed me to check it out anyway. And they thought this was a criminal scene because of how it was set up. And so I came out, and he was actually outside the car on the passenger side, and the passenger door was open. And they had him under a yellow tarp, and they came back and they pulled the tarp away, and I saw the back of his head, and he was in this kind of like army crawling position with his like right hand extended, like he was like crawling back to the car. And that's when it really hit me what an excruciating death he had, because he didn't die in the car. He was in the driver's seat, and he was still alive and managed to open up the passenger door, crawl over the center console outside the passenger door, somehow got away from the car, and then turned around to face the car, and then fell and died flat on his stomach with his hand outstretched towards the car. That is such an awful way to die. And so
That's
I
really,
knew it was him.
oh
I
man,
knew it was
that's a really,
And I said to the friend that was with me was like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You'll regret it for the rest of your life if you go do this. And they pulled I could see that it was him. And I turned to the trooper and I said, I'm going to touch him on his shoulder, and I have to say goodbye. And he said, you can't do that. This is an active crime scene. I was behind the yellow tape and everything. They just let me in. And I looked at him and I said, I don't care. I am saying goodbye. And I walked up to him. I knelt down on the ground, put my hand on his shoulder. I said, I loved him one last time. And that was the last words that I said to him. And then they took him to be autopsied, and then I got his ashes and his ring. We had clatter rings that we wore together. And I'm so grateful. I am so grateful to the state police and the fire personnel that were on hand, because they let me do that. They could have easily been like, fuck you, no, you're not doing it. They could have strong-armed me out of there, but they let me do that. And I have so much gratitude for that. And I'm still like, I wake up sometimes at night in a cold sweat over this. I cannot watch any show where someone's being burned alive or anything like that. But you know what?
imagine.
Here's what you talk about: mental health. Knowing everything I know today, I would fucking do it all again. Because life is about stepping up to the plate and meeting the adversity when it comes up for you, and not running away and being afraid and not talking about it and not sharing it and not embracing it. Because the truth of our life is that bad shit happens for everybody. Bad shit happens. And the myth is that you somehow can live some sort of life where you're farting rainbows and full of happiness all the time. And that's not life. That's listening for those people that have a record, listening to the A side of the record and never listening to the B side. And if you don't listen to the B side, you're going to miss some serious shit, some really good stuff. And so I would absolutely do it again.
Can I ask how long it's been?
I wrote a book about that because it was COVID in 2019 when that happened. I wrote a book because we all shut down. And so I wrote this book, Come As You Are, Meditation and Grief, on how I got through that. And 2 weeks ago, I just published Come As You Are 5 years later.
Okay.
And so it's been this kind of mission to my part in many areas to talk about this stuff that just people just don't talk about. And then when I have this discovery around grief or loss or love, I feel like I have to share that again and share what those learnings are, because we're just not in sync with this. We run away from it. We want to run away. We want to cognitive behavioral therapyize it, and we want to medicate it. And man, the 5 years later is about how my life just fell apart again, not because of grief, but because I fell in love. And that may sound really fucked up, and it is. And
Definitely got to tell us more.
I thought it was all behind me. And I thought that even though I had said grief is not something you get over. I tell people all the time, you're never going to get over your grief forever. Don't even try. It's a waste of time. It's not a problem to be solved. It's not an issue to be fixed. It's not like a flat tire. It's like part of who you are. And then the flip side of that is that we should actually, instead of trying to medicate and run away from our grief, we should actually celebrate that. When we see somebody who's really grieving, we should go up to them and say, congratulations, because you lived your life in such a way that you exposed your soul. And the result of that is this pain. If we go around wrapped in bubble wrap and keep people at a distance, we don't give a shit. Think about how many people died today. Just think about how many people. I haven't shed one tear for any of the people that died today. There might be people that say, hey, yeah, I feel that sadness of the loss of the world or this, but we grieve exactly equal to the depth of our love. It's a really simple equation. So if the goal of life is to embrace life fully and love and cherish and expose ourselves and be vulnerable, then we have to embrace the grief. It just doesn't work any other way. So if you're shedding a tear, you're sad, congratulations. Because that means you have made a choice in life to be honest, to be true, to be vulnerable, to share, and let people around you do those same things. It's fucking incredible. So
thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. That's, man, you touched my heart. I'm sure you touched the hearts of our listeners too, but I just really appreciate your vulnerability and being able to tell us that, because I know that's hearing that and having experienced that and having to go through it again is got to be really difficult. but the lessons that people learn from your stories, I think, are so valuable. So thank you so much for being who you are and sharing this story.
Sky, I want to tell you that I appreciate the compliments, but on the other hand, it's really fucked up that we live in a world where this type of behavior gets a compliment. Like, this should be normal. We should live in a world where people can easily talk about this and other people aren't like getting out of bed and bent out of shape trying to like, oh, we don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about the weather. Let's do this. Or feeling like they have to congratulate somebody for being transparent and honest and authentic. Because we live in a world that's such bullshit, especially these days. There's such bullshit. And real, true authenticity is just becoming so rare. And especially if you're struggling. So then when you are struggling, you don't see other people sharing this stuff, and then you think you're alone. And that's even more fucked up, right? So someone's having these same feelings and they feel bad about themselves. They don't hear anybody else talking about that. And then they're like, oh man, I'm screwed up. You're not screwed up. You're not screwed up.
How much do you think social media has to do with that in men as a society?
Huge. We just see happy people on social media. We see perfect people on social media. We see this. It's awful. It is. It's funny. When Facebook first came out, I remember this. You probably remember. It was like a way to connect with family that we haven't seen in a long time and share like pictures of birthdays and stuff. Yeah, now I connect with family on Google Photos, and we
Oh, I
share
love
those
that.
pieces there. And then no one else sees it. We don't have to deal with anybody else's baloney. It's just that simple. But it's a huge piece, this social media, this myth. And then the biggest myth is that the purpose and goal of life is to be happy. That is not the goal of life. That is not
agree
the
more.
purpose of life. Oh my God, that is such a fucked up thing that gets people in trouble all over the place. There's fucking books and videos and coaching things and 1 minute TikTok crap and tweets, and it just goes on and on. It's all a myth. And they're just making money out of this desperation thing to that. Once you've done this, you're going to be happy. It's the same bullshit that convinces people to buy cars. Once you buy the Mercedes, you'll be happy. Once you buy the Audi, you'll be happy. Once, all those people in those videos are smiling and perfect. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like we're fed a constant stream of positivity, but it's like toxic positivity where it's just trying to tell you that you need to be positive in order to function in society. And the people who have really been through the shit, man, they know that's not reality. And it's so nice to talk to other people who have been through the shit that get it.
Yeah.
Happiness really is, it's a fleeting sensation. And if we base our entire well-being around feeling good, it really minimizes it minimizes the struggle, the adversity that we go through. If you ask anybody what their greatest accomplishment is, and maybe they say climbing Mount Everest, I doubt they were happy at all during that time. And yet it was the adversity, it was the purpose, it was the fulfillment, of doing all those things.
Yeah, I ran a marathon once. I'm never going to fucking run a marathon again. I couldn't walk after I finished that marathon. It was incredibly tough. And the adversity is important, and we don't train ourselves enough to deal with adversity, and then we teach ourselves to suck it up. The actual goal of life, in my opinion, is not happiness. It's equanimity. Equanimity is real. And I talk about that in my most recent book in this piece, because the truth is, when things are shitty, this is a really simplistic explanation, but it will make sense. When things are shitty, most people feel bad because it's shitty. And what they're doing is they're trying to push it away because it feels bad. They don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want it. There's no acceptance around it. There's no embracing it. They just push it away. And the shitty feeling inside comes from pushing it away. When things are good, it also happens, but it doesn't happen on the receiving end. It happens when it's over, because all good things end. And so we're grasping and grasping. We're not pushing away. We're grasping and grasping. And then the suffering comes not from the presence of happiness, but when it ends, because everything ends. There is nothing that lasts forever. Good, bad, anything. People, dogs, cars, buildings, presidencies. It all ends.
How would you define equanimity? Is that like peace of mind?
Equanimity, the easiest way that I would define equanimity is think of a ship that is stable on seas. Even when the seas are rough, even when the seas are calm, the ship is stable. And so equanimity is an acceptance and calmness and balance. Equanimity, a person who has equanimity stands outside in the rain and says, it's raining. A person who doesn't have equanimity stands outside in the rain and says, oh my God, it's fucking raining. I'm so cold. My clothes are so wet. How come it's raining so much this month? Is it ever going to fucking stop raining? I have things to do. Oh my God, what's going to happen to the garden? Oh shit. I can't believe it's my day off and it's fucking raining again. Am I ever going to get any day off? That person has no equanimity. The person who goes outside and says, it's raining. Because the truth is, it's just the weather. It is not a weather forecast. And our trap is we experience the weather and we turn it into a weather forecast all the time. Doesn't work that way. It's just the weather. It's going to stop. Now, indifference, I talk about this in the book. Indifference in Buddhist studies is considered the near enemy of equanimity. And because it looks like equanimity and it feels like equanimity, but it isn't, and it fucks you up in the end. And that's what happened to me. I got indifferent. So the person with equanimity, you heard what the person who has no equanimity, they're going out and kvetching and carrying on. I'm the rain, there's all over the place, right? Person with equanimity goes out and says, it's raining. And the person with indifference goes out and says, I'm wet. I don't give a shit. I'm wet. I don't give a shit. Has a sense of balance to it, just like it's raining. It's really subtle. It's really subtle. On the surface, it feels the same, but it will really fuck you up when because it's fine to do when it's raining, but then when there's other shit coming your way, if you cultivated indifference, which is what I ended up doing for years and years, under the mask of equanimity, a huge wave comes. I met this guy. I fell in love, and that was it. Like, I was freaking out about, oh my God, there was no peace around. This is the piece where I was talking about good stuff, right? I had this good stuff happen and I was so miserable. In psychotherapy world, they call that anticipatory grief. That's the psychotherapy language they put on it. And really what you're doing is you got this good stuff and you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I was so difficult with Brian. I was like, I don't want to go through that again. And that's really not true. I would love to meet someone that I could go through that again with. But that's the equanimity part talking. When I met Peter and there I was indifferent, I was grasping and clutching and it was messy. Was messy. And so it was I'm going to look at the book right now for those of you, because you don't see this on video. It was 186 pages of messy. That's what the book was, 186 pages of come as you are 5 years later. also known as another book about Scott's fucked up life.
I like that you approach things from the real life aspect, though, because there's a lot of people that don't. And there's a lot of people that absolutely don't admit the sadness. And I think it's good for us to see that, especially as men in this world. We need to see other men being sad and dealing with it, because we all deal with it, but nobody talks about it. And that's the biggest problem of all.
It's huge.
I
It's
love what
huge.
you said about equanimity. That's just, it's such a good concept to live by and learn not to get hooked on those things. I recently had a therapist tell me that emotions are like weather. You don't control them, they just happen to you. And so being pissed off about the rain is why. It's weather, it's going to happen. So I love that.
Grab an umbrella. Grab an umbrella. That's it. Right?
So I'm glad you.
And here's the other piece. This is like real peace, right? What, 20 minutes ago, I was like sobbing talking about stuff because I was authentic and I was talking about this piece with Brian, and I was in it and I was there. And now we're talking about something else. The geese came by, they made some squeaky noises. We laughed about this. You asked a question about equanimity. I talked about that, and that is gone because it's the weather and it's not permanent. It's not permanent.
How do you get that idea out there to people, though, that it's not permanent? How do we get that idea out to people that it will get better, it will pass? You just
It's going to
wait
get
for
better, and then it's going to get worse. And then it's going to get better, and it's going to get worse. See, you just set it up. It will get better. It will pass, but it will come back because it's not.
That's
These
important.
things aren't things to. These things aren't things to be solved. We can for any of this stuff fuel it. I don't want to minimize fueling it, and I could. We just talked about Brian. I could go onto Google and look at all kinds of pictures all night long about Brian, watch some videos, and I could fuel that feeling. And that might be fine to do, but occasionally we fuel the feelings of joy when we tell people about, oh my God, we went on that great amusement park ride. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what happened. We fuel that. If you've ever seen one of my favorite movies is The Big Lebowski. And there's this scene, and it's not because I look like Jeff. It's not because I look like him. Yeah, I don't look like, I do look like him, especially when I have a goatee and I've got long hair. But there's a scene in The Big Lebowski where he's smoking a joint driving down the road. And that like joint falls into his lap and he swerves all over the place. And he actually that scene and the scene at the very end when he's standing there and the ashes get torn and it comes back. Like, those are I'm laughing now as I tell about that scene. That's normal, right? You're talking about something, you feel it, just like I was feeling the sadness, right? Now, if I was like watching that all the time, fueling that and laughing hysterically, and people were like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, the Big Lebowski, the Big Lebowski. You'd be like, oh, what's going on with this guy? Because we experience it when we talk about it, but we don't fuel it throughout our entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it becomes problematic.
Mm-hmm. There's so many situations that just clicked in my head.
In all of my years of studying psychology, which is something like 13 and 14 now, and I'm still scouring the latest research, different concepts, different modalities. The greatest concept that I've ever learned that has been the greatest impact on my life is radical acceptance. And I think that's exactly what you're speaking to, is having to radically accept our reality, the truth, the way things are. It doesn't mean that we have to approve of it. We're not giving things a pass. We're not necessarily saying we like them, but we have to accept them. And in order to make any sort of change, acceptance has to come first.
Yeah. There's a Buddhist term that aligns right along with that. And it's called Yata Bhuta. And what that stands for is as it is. Yata Bhuta. As it is. Not as you would like it to be.
As we want it to be. Huh?
We get hooked with, and see, here's the really screwed up thing. that happens. And I plant seeds for this all the time as a coach. And you might plant seeds for this all the time as a psychotherapist. Someone comes to see us and they say, we want really help. We're struggling. I don't like my life. I don't like this and this. Da, 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 da. One of the first things that come out of my mouth and a lot of psychotherapists' mouth is, hey, how would you like your life to be? Because if you tell me how you want your life to be, then I can build a plan to help you get there. Oh, you want to be 25 pounds less? I can help you build the plan as a fitness trainer to get you there. Oh, you want to tell me what your goals are. We all have to have goals because I don't know, we fucking all have to have goals. And that actually plants seeds for misery. Not that you should be goalless, but once you get hooked on this is the way it needs to be, that's going to create misery because there's no radical acceptance. There is no yata buta. You're focused on as you would like it to be. And we even tell people like to go stand in front of the mirror and imagine this or do these visualizations while you're laying naked in bed about this is how my life should be. I'm imagining myself doing this and this and this and this. And it does not help in the end. It helps in the short term. It doesn't help in the end.
When we're manifesting,
Right. That's,
Right.
Yeah.
How can you get people excited about meditation? There is nothing that helps my clients more. Okay. And I try to sell it the best way I know how. But no matter what, I have a large demographic of people that will try it maybe once or twice, struggle, never go back to it again. And time after time, my clients that really make it a serious intentional practice, their lives are dramatically different. They find equanimity a lot of times. And there's a lot of clients because of honestly, is now that they have this, in my opinion, the greatest superpower that I've ever acquired as far as a skill. I struggle. It's almost one of those things like you don't realize how awesome and amazing it is when you're in great shape until you get there.
You just hit it right
working
there.
out is a struggle.
Right. Say that again. Say what you just said. That's it right there.
That we don't know how great it is until we're there.
That specifically around working out. That's exactly. See, what you just hit on is the other myth. It's another happiness bullshit myth. People are hypnotized that if you listen to some fucking app on your phone about something, you're going to be happy. And meditation is going to help you get rid of the stress. It's like this opiate that we can do. It's like this meditation enema that we take that's going to make our lives beautiful and peaceful. And it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. So I tell people that it's all if you think that meditation is about feeling happy, it's bullshit. Meditation is like working out. Why do we work out?
It really is. It's working out of the mind. Yeah.
I've been struggling this past spring with I had 2 replacement knees, and now I just found out last Tuesday I have to get a replacement hip. I'm working my way through the body, and I've been pretty sedentary, and I've gained like 10 pounds and I'm like, this is bullshit. And so I bought a treadmill. It's not a fancy treadmill. I don't need anything fancy. I just need something to get my ass on there and start going. I fucking hate getting on the treadmill. I fucking hate getting on the treadmill. It's not a fun thing to do. I try, and think about what a moronic thing that is. You're standing in one place, you're in one place, and you're moving forward, but you're not moving forward. Anyway, I'm not going to get going because I don't like it, but I'm doing it. Like I was on it for today for an hour. I did a 5K this morning because I can't run because I have these knees, but I need to move to get movement, especially if I'm going to get a replacement hip. I'm doing it so that I'm going for the end goal of those results because I don't want to be struggling with the hip. I want to have an active summer. I want to go paddleboarding with the dogs. All these pieces are contingent upon that. Otherwise, I would just sit around and eat Oreos and watch TV. But that's not going to work in the long term. And so once you connect to that, and then what you have to do for the people around meditation is look for those incremental changes. And so one of the things I have people do if I'm teaching them and I have a coaching client is I have them rate their equanimity every day. Once they have a idea of equanimity, rate your equanimity. And it doesn't have to be anything fucking special. It doesn't have to be 1 to 100, 1 to 10. I don't give a shit what it is. Pick a scale and stick to it. And what will happen is that over time, it will equalize. You will know a 7 equanimity day if it's a 1 to 10 scale. And you will know a 5 equanimity day if it's a 1 to 10 scale. It will equalize over time. And you have to see that so that you can see, just like you get on the scale and say, I've lost weight from not eating so much donuts this week. I've lost a pound. There's progress because the weight loss is incremental. You're not going to see a huge amount of weight in 1 week. That's bad. You really only want to lose a pound a week if you're out there trying to lose weight, because that means you shifted your lifestyle as opposed to some sort of short-term gain to try to get what? Fucking happiness. And so you just focus on the incremental piece. And once somebody's keeping track of their equanimity, like their weight, it will equalize. You got to do it at the same time every day. You can't do it at 5 and 6. Do it when you're sitting on the toilet every day, how the day was before you. And that way you'll capture a consistent picture, just like you'd weigh yourself every day at the same time. And people will then see incremental changes, and then the meditation works because you're not focused on chasing some happiness and farting butterflies and rainbows, but building better spiritual and mental health.
Frustrates me so much that apps like Calm and Headspace, they really push that like meditation is this thing. Just like you said, it's going to bring you happiness. It's going to bring you some peace, but they don't get at the actual foundational, fundamental, really training of the mind to harness your awareness, to become more connected with yourself and everybody around you.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times it's not until we're going through some great moments of suffering that we just absolutely cannot stand this moment, and we're willing to do anything and everything to get out of this place. But man, I really believe it's something that everyone should be taught. And it's kept me sane over the last 13 years. And the one thing that just keeps bringing me back to the most fulfilling things in my life.
Those meditation, if we were talking about weight loss, we would be like, all right, you know what? It's very simple. Eat less, exercise more. Not rocket science. But there are all these things out there that are like, this is what you can do. If you follow, YouTube is loaded with them. Follow this plan and you will lose 1 million pounds in this day. And this is what body fat looks like. Or you can, I don't know, eat Captain Crunch and still lose weight, and all kinds of other stuff that are just Mercedes and Audis that people are trying to tell you, once you buy it, you'll be happy. And then that doesn't work. Nothing works that way. You don't throw tomato seeds out and have tomatoes the next day. Everything takes time. Everything takes time. But there are these snake oil people out there that want to sell an app, make a quick buck, and then people buy it, and then they don't use it because it's there. It's just like the treadmills that people buy that just sit there and hold people's clothes. They're covered with people's laundry.
That's a very good point.
People are like looking at their treadmills and their exercise machines, and they're like, oh my God, it's covered with my laundry. Or
just collecting dust.
Collecting dust. Yeah. So when I got my treadmill a month ago, I was like, I'm doing it. And I've been like pounding it. And people were like, wow. And I'm like, I'm not going to spend the money on this and then not do it. Right. I'm going to do it because I have this other plans in mind and I'm just not farting around.
Yeah, that makes sense. I recently promised myself I would learn something because I grew up social media age. I want instant gratification. If I'm not good at something right away, I won't do it. So recently I decided to get off social media and to force myself to learn something and follow through with it. And no, it's going to be really hard, until one day it's a little less bad. And I started learning ukulele, and I've been really happy with my progress. I've been playing for 2 months now, putting in the real work
Wow.
this time.
Can you play any songs? What songs can you play?
I'm only learning La Bamba right now.
That is excellent.
My
And one of the
and-
best songs ever.
I'm going to play with him.
The reason that it's excellent is because you're making slow progress. And that's going to help train your brain around this piece of wanting everything instantly. Which we
So I
want
think
that.
that's such a good point, that we need to be careful of needing that instant gratification or wanting it.
It messes us up in so many areas. Look what it's done to food. Fucking food. Because we want to have, instead of taking the time to prepare a meal like we used to, we used to go get like asparagus this time of year and bring it in, and then you'd have to wash it and you'd have to pick it and all this other stuff, and then you'd cook it up and then you'd eat it, or you'd eat it in a salad. Now it's asparagus all year round, frozen, steam in the bag. Here you go, throw this away, and it's instantly done.
Yeah.
And it should be no surprise that instant gratification stuff is not good for us. Here's your quick pasta meal, all ready to go. When I was a kid, we had, who would have guessed? They had these TV tray meals when I was a kid, these little silver things. And there was and they were really shitty. There was this food meat, and then there was a potato, and then a bean. There was always some dessert, like some apple cranberry that was put on there with whatever. And it was a special deal. They were expensive, and it was a special deal. And boom, we've gone from that to those things are everywhere. It's not the square trays anymore, but it's everywhere for everything, from pizza to crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. Scott, we are getting close to the end of our time here. So before we wrap up, is there any last minute thoughts you want to make sure our listeners hear about you or know about you, where they can find your books, if you're on any social media or anything like that?
You can easily just Google stalk me and type in G. Scott Graham. And then if you type in G. Scott Graham 5 years later, you'll find this book. And do you guys have your own email addresses that are out there floating
Yes,
around? Someone wants
yes.
to contact you? All right. So I'm going to put this out for people, that if you're interested in a copy of this book, if you email these guys on this show and say, I want a copy of Scott's book, they'll message me and I'll send you a digital copy that you can read on your tablet for free.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. That's really amazing.
That's it. That's all they have to do. But they're not going to reach out to me. Don't go Google stalking me and contacting me. You got to call these guys on this show and tell them that. And I don't care if it's 5 years from now, if you're watching this in 2030 and these guys are not even doing the show anymore, you got to find these guys, and then they'll have to find them.
Perfect. Awesome. Man, thanks so much, Scott, for coming on. You got me crying a little bit. You got me laughing. It's really amazing. I feel like there's so much more knowledge we could get from you, and so much we didn't even get close to tapping into. So I would love to have you on again to talk about something different some other time.
I want to talk about
yeah.
psychedelics.
For
And
sure.
including, one of the books that I wrote is called MDMA and Grief. It's about an experiment that I did with MDMA. And of all people, there's a Republican congressman in Texas who ended up writing a piece. I put a piece that he had written into the appendix of the book. And so now he's let me say, he's less than thrilled now, because what's the information age, right? Once this shit happened, it's hard to change the reality of what's on the computer. And so now this very conservative Republican congressman from Texas is listed. He messaged me. I'm not the co-writer. I'm like, I didn't say that you were the co-author of the book. I just said that I gave you credit for the back of the book of what you did.
That's amazing.
Oh my God. Oh my
That's
God.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Scott. This has been great.
You're welcome.
It's been
You're
absolutely
welcome.
great. I love your passion. I'm definitely curious as to what the inside of your house is.
Yeah. So I was for the
Fascinating.
people that are listening to this, I live in a log home. And so I'm now inside in the log home.
Wow.
Yeah,
But it's got some
phone,
really cool lighting.
my phone was running out of juice, and so I had to come in. And so, yeah,
Well, great.
Thank you again, Scott. Thank you for the work you're
you're
doing.
welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that does it for Ryan and I. Also, you guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of Hey Man, It's Okay. We're so excited for you guys to have you guys here along this journey with us. Please make sure to send us an email, sky@heymanitsokay.com. That'll get both Ryan and I. And okay is just okay, not OKAY. But please follow us, comment, subscribe, whatever it is you do on social media, and spread the message because we really like to promote it's okay to not be okay. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thank you, guys.